Hi! So we are in the midst of summer. With that being said, I feel like this is the great time of year for farmers markets to start back up. I myself have done all of one farmers market. I did one in the winter for 3 consecutive weekends through December. I know that there are some people who have done none. So with that, I wanted to give some tips, tricks, advice if you're planning on doing a farmer's market for the first time. Every farmer's market is so specific, it's hard to get advice to prepare for a farmer's market near you because every area is so different, and that's what makes farmer's markets so cool, is that they're very specific to the area that you're in. This is broad advice, and this is in no particular order, but the first piece of advice I would give is to scout out the area before you go. As in, make sure that if you have not been to that particular farmer's market before, that you go there, you take a look around, see what kind of vendors are already there. That way you can see what your competition is. For example, if you sell cupcakes, and there's 3 other stands selling cupcakes, maybe start planning how you can make your cupcakes stand out. Also, just look at where you're going to be positioned. If someone hopefully has sent you a layout of where your stand is going to be before you get there, that way you can kind of take a look around, get an idea of, okay, this is how I want to decorate, this is how I want to set up, and also see if you're in a high traffic area. That way you can get an idea of how many customers are going to be walking by, or maybe you need to walk around and attract clientele to your booth. So that kind of leads into my second point, or my second tip, which is do not stress the display too much. If this is your first farmer's market, then most likely you have been selling primarily maybe online, or maybe you just started selling, in which case you might not have everything you need for a grand display, and do not break the bank trying to do it. This is something I worried a lot about. I care a lot about presentation. I had this big grand idea of what I wanted my booth to look like, but financially I just could not afford to make my stand look like I envisioned it. But that comes with time. Focus on the product and the quality of the product. And definitely put some effort into your stand, but just do not break the bank trying to decorate your stand. Don't stress, everything will come together in due time. Tip number 3 is take someone with you. This is really important, especially if you're having long days. When I did the farmer's market, I was there from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., which is basically a whole work shift. So it's really great if you want to maybe stop in the middle of the day to go eat lunch, to have someone who can man your station for you. Also, if you want to walk around and talk to other vendors, it's just great to have someone there with you. That way you can take a break. That's actually my next tip. Number 4 would be interact with the other vendors there. It's great to build community, so that's one, but also it's just great to get advice and pick people's brains a little bit just about their perspective, how they got to be in a farmer's market, what their opinions are of the farmer's market, any advice they have for you. And also just support local business. So don't be afraid to step away from your booth and go shopping. Tip number 5, I think. Accept every method of payment. You just want to try and maximize your sales. So it sucks when someone comes up to you hey, do you have change for this 20? And you do not have change for the 20 because you're only taking card. Or someone comes up and asks, do you take Visa? And you don't because you only have cash. What I did is I invested in a little Square thing, but it's really simple, and I could even hook it up to my Etsy shop while I was there. That way, whenever I made a sale in person, it counted as a sale on my Etsy, which is something you don't have to set it up like that if you don't want to. Accept card, cash, Venmo, PayPal, whatever, take it all. My next tip is to adjust inventory by demand. If you are selling candles like I was, farmers markets are super helpful because they let you know what your most popular scent is. It's so hard to sell a scent through a screen. Having people actually come up to my stands and being able to smell my candles and say, oh, I like this one, or I'm not really feeling this one, was super helpful. And I was able to discover what my most popular scent was. Next tip is to clearly display prices. As someone who is very introverted and does not like social confrontation, if I don't see the price on something, then I'm probably not going to ask. Also, just hypothetically, if you're running your stand, you're going to be talking with people as they come by. Maybe someone else is just like walking by, but they don't have that much time and they want to know how much your candle costs, but they do not want to wait for you to finish your conversation. And sometimes you might surprise them. Maybe they look at your work and they're like, oh, I definitely can't afford that. But then they see the price and they're like, wow, that's a lot cheaper than I thought. Or wow, these cupcakes are $2 cheaper than those cupcakes in there and they look about the same quality. I'm definitely going with these cupcakes. Just make sure you have those prices clearly displayed, that way people do not have to ask for them. My next piece of advice is to have some kind of business cards or somewhere where you're displaying your contact info and can hand that out to people. Even if you're just hand making business cards, you have thank you cards and you're writing your contact info by hand on the back, if that's all you can do, that's fine. Especially if maybe you do have an Etsy shop or you have your own website. That way, if you're not going to be at this farmer's market permanently, you can give people this information. That way they can come shop online and it brings traction to your online platform. So I think that's really helpful. And then I also handed out thank you cards. The thank you cards, on the back of each one, I had a little handwritten note that I wrote the night before. And it also had a discount code for my Etsy shop, you know, just to bring some business to your online platform as well. My next tip would be to take snacks, water, a fan, a jacket, an umbrella, whatever. So I know when I did my farmer's market, it was rain or shine. The farmer's market was going to be running, so if it was running, I was going to be there. If yours is the same, if it's going to rain, make sure you have a raincoat or an umbrella, but also just make sure that you have snacks and water, especially if you're going to be there by yourself, which hopefully you have people who can come and support you and relieve you if you need a break to sit down or walk around. But if you're there for the duration of the day, you definitely want to make sure that you are fed and hydrated and you're healthy. It's hot out there, it's summer. Please take care of yourself. My last tip would be to build rapport with the organizers. So whoever is in charge of this farmer's market, whoever approved you to be a vendor at this market, just make sure that you're properly communicating with them, but then also that you're just being friendly and personable and being respectful. One, because it's a nice thing to just be a decent human being and show people kindness and respect, but also just because you never know when that connection is going to be useful in the future, especially if you're only doing the farmer's market maybe for a weekend or for a season. Maybe they will have an opening in the future for someone they can bring in full-time year-round, and you're going to be the first person they think of because they just really built a connection with you and they know you and they know your products. So that is it for my farmer's market tips. Hopefully someone finds this helpful. Before I did my first farmer's market, before I did my only farmer's market, I was looking to a lot of different resources to answer questions. I was super nervous. I didn't know what to do. If you're someone who has ever done a farmer's market, I would love it if you could maybe just put some advice or some tips down below in the comments, just so that we can use this as a place to exchange ideas and tips. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I don't have much knowledge or experience, but what I do have, I will gladly share.